Hi everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to discuss about paper and pulp identification or forensic analysis of paper. So one of the most important tasks of the forger is to find a suitable paper upon which the document is to be forged and one of the daunting tasks of the question document examiner in is forensic analysis of paper or paper examination or the study of paper. So the need to examine a paper arise when a document is suspected or questioned to be forged. So mainly in forgery cases, we are using this kind of forensic analysis of paper. And it is very often seen in wills suspected to be forged. Wills which are suspected to be forged and counterfeit currencies, notarized documents, and registry of property. So in these cases, we are encountering the paper for the forensic analysis. So some questions that a question document examiner need to ask regarding the paper analysis. So some of the questions I will write here, questions which are facing by the question document examiner are: first one is whether the question paper is identical, whether the questioned paper is identical with or different from the other papers of the same. Second is whether the document or the whether the questioned document or the paper is identical with the source of the document. That is whether they are of same origin. And third one is whether the watermark, so this is very important to identify watermark, so whether the watermark of the paper is genuine or forged. And fourth question is whether the paper of the question document is a part of some other paper, so the part of paper is same or not. For example, whether this is a A4 sheet and here some writings are there, and in down the paper in one and one like signature is there. So this signature may be the that forger can stick this signature using a glue to the particular sheet of this A4 sheet or will or whatever it is. So maybe this is another part of another paper. Maybe he glued it, so chances are there to glue this paper, so they want to know whether the part of the paper is same or not. And also the final thing is age of the paper. So there are chances that the forger can take the for example will or property registry property, and he can claim that this is of my grandfather's time or something like that, but he can make it old paper now also. So that kind of forgery can happen. So in that cases they want to assess the age of the paper. So these are the main questions which are asked to a forensic document examiner. So before going to the identification and examination of this paper, let's uh, check some brief history of the paper and what all features are observed while a question document examiner is assigned paper examination. So paper was found in India being made from cotton. So in India, usually paper was made from cotton, and used as a writing medium in 327 BC. So in this time, paper was made from cotton, and many more attributes have been invested to it by newer raw materials. But now we are using so many raw materials in paper making, paper and pulp making, and improved techniques of manufacture, and it is now a very complex material, practically beyond the scope of concise and precise definition. And it is an amazing network of fibers having as much as 75 percentage of air space. So in paper, 75 percentage of air space, and only a small percentage which may be inside the fiber, and the rest being in the form of pores or voids and enmeshed by fibers and reassess on the surface. So mainly we are using raw material as plant parts. That's why it is important in this forensic botany. So what all the raw materials we are using? So the raw materials used in plants, raw materials used in this one, paper making, we'll see. So the bulk of the paper is made from vegetable fibers. So mainly we are using vegetable fibers as raw materials. For example, we can say this jute or grasses, bamboo, and all those things. And now we are using, other than vegetable fibers, we are using wool, silk, asbestos, nylons, etc. also for making the paper. Cotton is considered as to be the ideal raw material. So what is the ideal raw material? Cotton is considered as the ideal raw material for the paper manufacturing because of its color, purity, with the durability and the folding strength. Because of these reasons, cotton is considered as the ideal raw material. But as the price is very high, only the secondary cotton fibers in the forms of rags, like from tailors, we can collect cottons, tailor cuttings, then hosiery cuttings. So from all these materials, we are taking cotton as raw material because cotton is very expensive. And the high quality papers which are manufacturing using cottons, and also we are using raw materials as bast fibers like linen, hemp, and jute. So we are also using these kind of bast fibers in paper manufacturing in the form of rags. Directly we are not taking this in the forms of rags, old mats, ropes, etc. And these constitute raw materials for specialty papers, and ordinary papers used for writing and printing are made from bamboo, then grasses, agricultural residues like straw, bagasse, jute sticks, etc. So normally for high quality papers, we are taking cotton. So cotton is considered as the ideal raw material because of its color, purity, folding strength, and all. But because of its expensive, because it is very expensive, we are taking rag, tailor cutting, hosiery as secondary cotton, and we are taking this as raw materials. And also we are using bast fibers such as linen, hemp, and jute, that also we are taking as secondary fibers, like rag, old mats, ropes, etc. We are taking of these materials, and we are using this as raw material for paper manufacturing. And for normal ordinary paper, we are using bamboo, grasses, agricultural residues such as straw, jute sticks, etc. So this is about the raw material of paper. So I hope you understood. Mainly we are using vegetable fibers, wool, silk, asbestos, nylons, etc. are also used for this purpose. So next is paper making process or process of paper making. Paper making process. So the process is like step by step. We'll see what is the process of making paper. So first and foremost thing is that we have to select or choose the raw material. First of all, you have to choose the raw material for to make the paper. So we can take cotton, jute, linen, whatever it is, what is available for you. You can take that one according to the need of quality of paper. And second is that cutter. So second step is cutter. So cutter, it is used to convert raw material into smaller pieces. So this convert raw material to smaller pieces, and these smaller pieces are called as wood chips. The smaller pieces are called as wood chips. So paper making second step is cutter, and this cutter is used to convert raw material into smaller pieces called wood chips. So raw material we are using this cotton mat, for example ropes, and also that is of a big one. So we have to cut this into small pieces, and that small pieces is called as wood chips. And wood is stripped of its bark, and process is done with water or without water. So you can use water or without water. And third step is pulp making. Third step is pulp making. So wood is composed of cellulose fibers that are bounded together with a substance called lignin. So wood means the plant part, what we are taking as raw material. So that is composed of cellulose. So you know that cellulose is made up of cellulose fibers, and these cellulose fibers are bind together with lignin using a lignin. So depending upon the quality of paper required, like we can choose two methods for pulp making. One is mechanical pulping, and another method is chemical pulping. So this is according to the quality of paper. What quality of paper you need, you can choose that process. So what is mechanical pulping? So first one is mechanical pulping. So mechanical pulping is done by crushing the stripped logs. So we took the log or the wood or log. So first step is that we have to crush this one. Crush this using a grinder and soaking them in water. And soak in water. Then the wood chips are heated. After that it is heated using a digester or in a digester using high temperature and pressure. And the pulp prepared from this is called as thermomechanical pulp or TMP. So we have to crush it and heat it. So crushing using a grinder and soak in water, and then heat it in a digester. And this can utilize high temperature and pressure. After that you have to make the pulp. So the pulp which is made after heating is called as thermomechanical pulp or TMP. So the output paper from this process is of poor quality. So mechanical pulping will get poor quality paper, and that has less strength. Strength is very less, and the paper used or the raw material used for the paper final output of the paper is like news printing paper and all. So these kind of papers can be made using mechanical pulping, because it is of poor quality. We'll get poor quality paper by mechanical pulping. And the one word you have to notice, this one word, the pulp made from mechanical pulping is called as thermomechanical pulp. So in second is chemical pulping. Chemical pulping. So what is chemical pulping? When a chemical such as sulfate is used in a digester along with steam. So in mechanical pulping, we told first we have to crush it, then heat it in a digester in high temperature and pressure. So in that time, if we are using sulfate, so the pulp prepared through this process is called as chemi-thermomechanical pulp. So when doing the mechanical pulping, we are adding a chemical called sulfate so that it will become chemical pulping. And the pulp formed from this chemical pulping is called as chemi-thermomechanical pulp, CTMP. So CTMP is the pulp formed by this process, and this chemical pulping or the chemical pulp, this pulp is also called as kraft pulp, and the type of paper is available in the market in the form of baking paper, like brown papers, we are used, which we are used for baking. So that is called as pulp or chemical pulp papers. So this is the paper produced after chemical pulping. So the other chemicals used for this purpose other than sulfate are sulfite salts with an excess of sulfur dioxide, and also caustic soda and sodium sulfide. So when we are using this caustic soda and sodium sulfate, that process is called as Kraft process. Kraft process. So this is about chemical pulping. So chemicals, when we are using chemicals in mechanical pulping, that is called as chemical pulping. So chemicals we are used as sulfate, and also we are using sulfite salts and sulfur dioxide, then caustic soda and sodium sulfide. So when we are using caustic soda and sodium sulfide, that process is called as Kraft process, and the pulp formed is also called as chemi-thermomechanical pulp, and that pulp is also called as kraft pulp, and the resulting paper is of high quality paper like brown paper and all. So that is about the chemical pulping. So digesters, so many digesters are there. So I told we are using digesters for making the pulp. So digesters are like stationary digester and rotary digester, etc. So next step is, fourth step is, after this then next is washing step. So washing is done using water to remove the chemicals which are used in this chemical pulping, and also the lignin. So we told we are there is lignin in the raw material. So to remove that one, we are washing this. And the fifth step is screening. So this process removes the oversized fibers. And the sixth step is bleaching. So bleaching, we know that we need whitish papers. So the paper which we are using is whiteness is there. So to get that whiteness, we are using bleaching agents such as chloride dioxide. So these are the bleaching agents such as chloride dioxide, hydrogen peroxide, etc. So these are the bleaching agents. So the sixth step is bleaching. So after pulp making, we are washing it with water to remove the chemicals and lignin. Then next step is screening. This is to remove the oversized fibers And the sixth step is bleaching. This is to give the whiteness, and we are using bleaching agents such as chloride dioxide and hydrogen peroxide, chlorine dioxide and hydrogen peroxide. So this bleaching will give more resistance and absorbent to the paper. And the seventh step is sheeting and drying. Sheeting and drying. So sheeting and drying, in this step, the pulp is fed to a rotary screen and goes to head box. So in this, like we are making these sheets of paper which and drying using a dryer session. So here we are using 70 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius heat for drying purpose. So in this step, in the sheeting step, 60 percentage of water is drained off. So next is calendaring. Eighth step is calendaring. So in this step, the sheet, like the steel cylinders, are used to compress the paper to smooth the surface. So we know that now we are using the sheet of paper, so it is a smooth surface and in a compressed state. So that state will get by calendaring step. And ninth step is winder. So in this winder step, a winder is used to roll the sheet. So what we are using, winder or winder, you can say winder is used to roll the sheet. And the 10th step is cutter. So it cuts the sheets in required size like A4, A3. So in this size, the cutter cuts the paper. And one important thing which we are doing in the paper making process is adding the pigments or fillers or additives. So in all papers we are adding these pigments or fillers or additives. So paper used for writing or printing is usually white pigments or fillers to increase the brightness. These are adding to increase the brightness, opacity and surface smoothness, and to improve the ink receptivity. So we are writing on a paper using ink to increase the absorbance of this ink and all, we are using these pigments, fillers and additives. So mainly clay you all know. So clay is used as a filler in the paper making. And another pigment we are using is titanium dioxide. So titanium dioxide is also used as a pigment in the paper making process. So it is most expensive of the common pigments and is used in an admixture with others. Next filler which we are using is calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate is also used as a filler, and this filler to impart the improved brightness, opacity and ink receptivity. And other fillers which are used as zinc oxide, zinc sulfide and asbestos, etc. So all these are other types of fillers. So the most common way to impart color to paper is to add soluble dyes or colored pigments to the paper. So that is about the pigments and fillers and additives. So this is the paper making process. So first we have to check the raw materials, then using cutter you have to cut into small pieces, and next we have to make the pulp using chemical method or mechanical method. After that you have to wash it, screen it, bleach it, sheeting and drying, and also calendaring is another step. This is to compress the sheet of paper. And also using winder you have to roll the sheet, and using the cutter you can cut the paper into appropriate size. So that is about paper making. Next is the forensic analysis of paper. Forensic analysis of paper. So it is done by first physical examination, second is chemical examination, And third step is microscopic examination. So physical examination, you all know what is physical examination. Physical examination of paper involves the examination of paper by merely looking at the paper with our naked eyes. Just looking and observing the paper using the naked eye. So here in physical examination, we used to examine the color. So in physical examination, we used to examine the color of the paper. So in which color it is, whether it is white color, yellowing is there, or there any like naturally or artificially any alloying is occurred, any changes are there in color due to the storing condition and all those things. So that is about color. And next is condition of the paper. So the condition of paper is determined by the environmental conditions in which it is stored. And also like if paper is stored in safe inside a book, the in that case will be much better condition as compared to which is kept in an open and damp place. So what is the condition of the paper is also very important in forensic like thing. So that is condition and dimension of the paper. So dimension of paper, like we have to check the length, width, that is the height, diameter. So all these things are important in the forensic field. So dimension, we have to check what is the size of the paper. So whether it is toned, also the paper under question should be like compared each other to give an idea whether it is like any part of the paper is removed or not, whether its length, width and height have any change and all those things. Then next is appearance. So appearance is the texture, then transparency, staple holes. So is there any staple marks are there, pinholes are there, folds are there, indentation marks. So all these things you have to check in the appearance of the paper. What is the texture, whether it is rough, whether it is smooth, whether it is silky, glossy. So all those things you have to consider. So the staple mark also is very important. So the number of like how many holes are there, how many staples have been uh, given to that one, all those things whether you take in the appearance. Next is fold. So fold is also very important thing, whether it is like if we are observing this under the stereo microscope, we can observe the folds of the paper clearly. Then next is fluorescence. So fluorescence is also very important case. Some papers under UV light they can give fluorescence. So this which adds on their safety and uniqueness. So fluorescence is a unique property. So it is very much helpful in investigations. So next is a very important thing, watermark. So watermarks are it is an important physical characteristic which helps in the comparison and dating of the paper. So the presence and absence of the watermark is very much in question in some counterfeit cases and forgery cases and all. So this is the regarding the physical examination. That is first we have to watch this with our naked eye. What are the things? What is the color? What is the appearance? What is the dimension? And all those things. After physically examining the paper, you can go to the chemical examination. So chemical examination is of paper is done to estimate the presence of various components such as starch, then glue, clay, titanium oxide, wax, etc. So we told that so many fillers, additives and all those things are adding to give the strength, opacity and all those things of paper. So different manufacturers add different kind of additives, fillers and pigments. So in order to find out which is the chemical composition, which is the pigment or filler which is added to the paper, we can do the chemical examinations, and also the type of dye and all. So first examination or first chemical examination we can use is dye examination. So dye examination is done by using specific chemical reagents to test the presence or absence of a particular dye. So the reagents used are dye specific and target the trace elements present in the dye. And second method or second chemical examination is glazing material. So we have to find out it is done by a microchemical analysis of the examination of glue, starch and any other gelatinous matters. So if we are checking the glue, starch or any other gelatinous matter, we can identify which is the chemical used as glazing material here. And the third one is ash determination. So the questioned document and control sample both are carried upon a flame, and this is like flame test which we are used for fibers similar like that. So we can estimate this by determine this by the color of the flame, weight of the ash, color of the flame, weight of ash, and smell of the gases. Smell of gases. By carefully examining this one we can find out the chemicals used in the paper. So this is about the chemical examination of the paper. After chemical examination we can use this we can do the microscopic examination. So microscopic examination involves the use of various types of microscope and the art of equipments. So in this microscopic examination, like color examination is done. So color examination is done by visual observation under UV light of short wavelength 254 nanometer. This is of short wavelength, or we can use a longer wavelength, that is 366 nanometer. So in any wavelength we can visual this under the microscope using UV light 250 nanometer and 360 nanometer. And the trace elemental analysis is possible using neutron activation analysis, absorption, atomic absorption, and emission spectroscopy, and energy disperse analysis. So like these all methods we are using, so no need of studying this much in depth. So you have to know which are the methods used, that's it. So, and fiber analysis of paper have some watermarks, so these watermarks also can be observed under the microscope. So this is about microscopic examination. So I hope you understood about the forensic analysis of paper. Three examinations we are doing: physical examination, chemical examination and microscopic examination. So this is about paper identification in your syllabus. So I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask. So let me wind up here. So thank you.